Um, would you say that you have experience with childcare, or what experience do you have with childcare?
I've worked with kids for 30 years. I've worked both in a mental retarded facility, mentally retarded facility, and with juveniles, and also in child care like the Methodist Children's Home, foster care.
And you're the CEO here, right?
Correct.
Okay. Would you say that you're an advocate for tough love?
In the right circumstances. I don't think it's something that you just use indiscriminately.
Do y'all use tough love techniques at the Methodist Home?
We do with kids who are pretty ingrained in negative patterns, but it's used as a last resort. We try to work with kids on the basis of relationships. And if you don't have a relationship with a kid, you're not going to get much headway.
So what are some of the techniques that you do use of tough love whenever you do use them?
We, as I said, we try to build relationships with them first, and then if they can continue in negative behavior patterns, or they continue in behavioral issues where it's appropriate, then what we'll do is confront them, try and use the staff that has the best relationships with them, give them some boundaries and expectations, make sure that if we are trying to extinguish a negative behavior, we always replace it with something more positive, so that we're not taking away and just leaving a void. We're adding something in replace of something inappropriate.
Would you say that these techniques are effective whenever you use them and teaching them responsibility and self-sufficiency?
Over time, they very much are. Some kids get into behaviors and they continue them, or they take them to a new level if you don't stay with them. You have to be very consistent in using tough love with kids. And again, you have to have a certain level of trust, or you have to have a relationship that is a platform you can work from.
And most of the kids at the home go on to secondary school, don't they?
Pretty much 100% will either go to college or vocational school.
So essentially, they end up being successful in their life, most of them.
I would say so. There are a number of issues that kids carry with them for a long time. The anger patterns with their families, the abuse and neglect in their background. Sometimes they have neurochemical problems. Their stress hormones are high, and makes it difficult for them to get along in situations where there isn't structure. So I think with the structure here, they're set up pretty well to go to college. Most of the kids who come in here come in not expecting to graduate from high school. They're a year behind in school typically. They're so angry at their families or at their circumstance or situation that it's hard for them to hook into something positive. And over time, with pretty rigorous confrontation, with structure, rules, limits, boundaries, it gives them a sense of security that they don't have in a situation where they're just allowed to run free. Currently, we have about 98 kids in college and another 30 that will graduate. And then we have another 25 or 30 in vocational school.
Do you think that this tough love still allows children to create loving relationships with their parents?
If it's used appropriately. A lot of parents don't understand tough love, and they misuse it or abuse it. And in those circumstances, they damage those relationships at times beyond repair, or what seems to be beyond repair. But if the parents understand it and they use it appropriately, I think it can be an excellent tool to strengthen relationships rather than destroy them.
I know a lot of parents, not just parents, but a lot of people in the world say that tough love is just unethical control that parents take over their kids. I think this kind of goes back to some parents you said don't understand tough love and they misuse it and stuff. Would you agree for the most part that tough love isn't the unethical control, that when it's used correctly, it's successful?
if it's used appropriately, then it is very much a tool that has a significant impact in a child's life. Unethically, it can be a very destructive tool. So again, it depends on the understanding level of the person doing it and the motive or the goal for achieving change in behavior. If they use it just to have power over a child or an adolescent, then I think it's pretty destructive. But if you use it to save them from a circumstance or a situation that's unhealthy, or creates a destructive lifestyle for the child, then it can be very effective.
Well, thank you for spending time with me today to discuss tough love.
You're welcome.